I picked up a good selection of drugstore products, some new, some not so new, and while a few of them were surprising, a couple of them were a bit of a letdown. So let's go through each of these products while I apply them on my face, and I will give you my honest thoughts to see if these are worth picking up on your next trip to the drugstore. Enough talk, let's get started. So before I put any products on my face, I just wanted to let you know that I've added my sunscreen on and also my primer on. Now the primer is important for the foundation that I'm going to show you in just a second, but before that, we are going to be putting on the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Glotion Natural Glow Enhancer in the shade Fair Glow. Now, I had purchased this because I wanted a replacement for my e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter. I didn't want to purchase it again because I'm not a huge fan of the doe foot applicator, and I saw this instead, and I figured I'd give it a try. I heard online that it is a little bit more oily skin friendly and that it completely dries down, and it's not as glowy as the e.l.f. liquid filter. So I'm gonna give it a good shake, and I'm just gonna apply this all over my face. And one thing I really like about this product is that it doesn't have a scent, and it's very lightweight. And I also wanted to use this under my more matte foundations. So the one that I'm going to show you in just a second is a soft matte foundation. And during the summertime, when it's really hot and humid, I usually gravitate towards a powder foundation instead. And so I figured that this would give me just enough glow underneath so I don't look super matte or super flat. And so far, nothing is pilling, nothing is bunching, everything is applying very smoothly. And one thing I noticed when I applied this is that the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter has more of a, I don't want to say high coverage base, but it has more of a pigmented base, whereas the base for this product is more transparent. So even though the Lumi Glotion only has about 4 shades, they're very flexible. And another reason why I purchased this product is because I wanted to use it on my neck and my chest when I'm wearing tank tops or dresses or anything a little bit more low cut. I feel like this would really help give me a very healthy glow to my neck and chest. I also love how the packaging is a squeezy tube. I'm a huge fan of squeezy tubes and pumps, but anything with the doe foot applicator that you're applying directly on your face, I'm not a huge fan of, unless it's concealer. All right, so I just have a very healthy glow, and I'm gonna let this dry down before I add my foundation. All right, so the next product that we're going to apply is the NYX Make 'em Wonder Soft Matte Buildable Foundation, and I have the shade 05 Fair Ivory. And I have used this a couple of times. The shade is just a tiny bit too fair for me, but I feel like if I get something slightly darker, then it might just be a little bit too dark. So I can usually make lighter foundations work. I use the principle of painting where it's easier to add darker colors to light rather than lightening up a darker color. So I'm gonna give this a good shake. And before you open it up, if you do not tap the bottom, like it says on the back sticker here, it tends to spit out. So tap the bottom before you uncap it, and that'll reduce getting foundation all over yourself. All right, so that's what the tip looks like. And again, I am a huge fan of squeezy tops. I find them to be a little bit more hygienic. So I'm gonna start off with just a little bit and see if I need more. And because NYX claims that this is buildable, we can always add more to add more coverage. I'm gonna add this to my cheeks first. I'm just gonna dot this all over my face. Now, the only thing about this foundation is that it does require a primer that provides a little bit of slip. Otherwise, when you're applying it just on top of sunscreen or like a drier primer, like the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Powder, it skips and looks a little bit patchy, but I find that if I use a silicone-based primer that does provide a little bit of slip and a little bit of blur, it really does help to spread this foundation out. Okay, so this is the cheeks and chin done, and I'm just gonna add a little bit to my forehead. And this foundation also has a long wear claim. I have used this in really hot and humid weather when it was about 30 degrees Celsius in Vancouver here. And this actually held up really well. I've only used this for about 8 to 9 hours in total, which is still a pretty decent amount of time. But it would be interesting to see how long this lasts beyond 10 hours. Okay, so as you just saw, I added just a tiny bit more foundation to my cheeks. Okay, so I'm just taking whatever is left on my brush and I'm just dragging it down my neck. Okay, so this is the foundation done, and I didn't have to squeeze out product for the second time. So I'm happy with the coverage. I would say this is about a medium coverage. And you can definitely see that Lumi Glotion peeking through. So the combination of the L'Oreal Lumi Glotion and the NYX Make 'em Wonder foundation does give you a soft satin matte finish. And I really like that because sometimes I just don't want a purely flat matte look. So yeah, if you can't tell, I love these two products so far. They work really well together, especially with a blurring primer. The next two products that I have are from Essence. I got the Essence Baby Got Blush Stick, and I also have the Baby Got Bronze Stick. So in the blush, I have the shade Tickle Me Pink, and then in the bronzer, I have Moondust. Now, the bronzer is an interesting shade because it is a cooler toned color. It's almost like a gray brown, which is what intrigued me to purchase this in the first place because I figured it would be a good fair olive bronzer slash contour. Now, I have tried these before, and the first thing I noticed when I opened the product is that they have a very strong watermelon scent. Like, it's almost a little bit too strong. It smells nice, but I associate watermelon scents with lip balm products, so it almost feels like I'm putting a lip balm product on my cheeks, and for whatever reason that just feels really wrong. But if you're not fragrance adverse, then these might be a good option for you, especially if you have dry skin. Now, I'm not a huge fan of applying sticks directly onto my face. There are only a few brands and products that I like to do that with. But for these are quite emollient, and my foundation and base that I have on right now is a little bit more on the drier, oily, skin-friendly side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually use a brush to apply these. So I'm gonna add the bronzer first. So because this is a bronzer, I'm just gonna work this onto my brush. I'm gonna be very light-handed with it. And I'm only using a stamping motion. I can definitely smell that watermelon fragrance when I'm applying this on my face. So yeah, it's a little weird if I'm being honest. It's not terrible, but I have other products that I like to use for contour. And this shade is just a little bit too dark, a little bit too gray for it to be a bronzer for me. Okay, let's do the other side so I'm balanced out. And because I carefully stamped the bronzer stick on my face, it's not messing with my base. It's just not my favorite product. Like, I wouldn't be reaching for this. Instead, I would be reaching for the CoverGirl True Blend Skin Enhancer Contour Balm in the shade Defined. So let's just swatch it here. I would much rather use this as a contour rather than this shade. And for bronzer, if I am using a stick, I use the Haus Labs Contour Stick and Chisel. Okay, so I just wiped off this area just so that I have room to show you exactly the bronzer color that I like to use. This is the Haus Labs Contour Balm and Chisel, but I like to use it as a bronzer because it does have kind of that rosy color that bronzers usually have. I would much rather use the colors on the outside to do specific things rather than using the Essence Baby Got bronzer. All I'm saying is that it's not my favorite, and I would much rather use something else. This was a bit disappointing, but luckily with Essence products, they're fairly cheap, so the risk is very low when you are trying out new products. Their mascaras are great, but this bronzer stick is a pass for me. Moving on to the next product, it's the Baby Got blush stick in Tickle Me Pink, and I will add this to my cheeks because it is a cute color, but it has that same watermelon fragrance, but luckily the color is cute. So if you are a fair olive looking for a neutral pink, who also happens to have dry skin, especially around the cheeks, this might be a great budget-friendly option for you. Okay, so I just cleaned off my brush and I'm going to work this into the fibers. And I'm going to add this right here to the high points of my cheeks. And because I am using a very light-handed stamping motion, it's not messing with the base underneath. Okay, so that is one cheek done. And then let's do the other side. Okay, so I have the blush on. Okay, so now that both cheeks are done, I'm going to add this to the middle of my nose. And this is what we have so far. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of how this is turning out, so I am gonna use my other products that I like to use to kind of fix this up. So unfortunately, the Baby Got Bronze and Baby Got Blush sticks from Essence, I would definitely skip these at the drugstore. There are better options for you. I would highly recommend the CoverGirl True Blend Skin Enhancers instead. These have a little bit more glide. They are less emollient, just as pigmented, and they are a little bit more forgiving to apply. So these are just a hard pass for me, unfortunately. Okay, so the next new drugstore product that I have is the highly anticipated e.l.f. Set It Bright Correcting and Brightening Setting Powder in the shade Fair. And some of you are wondering if this is similar to the old Givenchy setting powder before they ruined it. I have, luckily, an old Givenchy loose setting powder, and I have tried them out. Not side by side, but I do remember using the Givenchy powder a while back, and I do like it a lot. I would say that these are not dupes for one another. And sorry, the color is a little bit different, so I won't be doing a side-by-side comparison on screen unless you want me to. So if you want me to do a side-by-side comparison, let me know in the comments down below if you want that video, and I will do my best to give you a good comparison of the two. I would say that the old Givenchy Prism Libra setting powder is great for the under eyes, and it's also really great for dry and or mature skin. So this is very finely milled. It doesn't feel as dry as compared to the e.l.f. Set It Bright powder. So I have used this against my Huda Beauty Easy Bake setting powder. I would say that this is a lot drier, like it feels drier on the skin compared to my Huda Beauty powder. I would say that if you have dry skin, this is not the powder that I would recommend. Also, I'm not a huge fan of this underneath the eyes. I feel like it emphasizes the fine lines under my eyes, which is the look that I'm trying to avoid when I'm powdering my under eyes. And also another thing about this product is that it does have a bit of a pigment load. It is a color correcting and brightening setting powder, so they aren't lying with the name. I will be using this powder to set my face, and it's really messy, sorry. I have used this a few times, and I like how it does come with the powder puff, but I don't actually use the powder puff that's included. I think of the powder puff as more of a plug so that powder doesn't go everywhere on the inside, and I much rather use a brush or my own velour puff. So one thing I really like about this powder is that it does have a mechanism where you can turn and pick your own shade, or you can take this out entirely and use all 4 shades together at the same time. I will be using all 4 shades mixed together to set my entire face. So this is what I like to do. I like to take out that divider and also the puff, and I'm going to screw the top on, and I'm going to quickly tap twice and gently open this up. And I have a fair amount of powder on there. Okay, so I rubbed the powder against the palm of my hand to evenly distribute the powder on my puff. And before I add powder onto my face, I'm going to take a dampened sponge and I'm going to smooth out the creases around my eyes. Okay, so now we're going to go in. Okay, so I just did one pass over my eye. I don't know if you can tell, but this eye is definitely looking a lot more matte compared to the other side. And it feels dry. Like, not crunchy dry, but I can definitely feel the powder on my face. It's not heavy, but it definitely feels dry. Okay, I'm just doing the other eye. And around my nose is usually the trouble area for powders for me. It can look a little bit cakey, but I'm just using the thinnest amount and it looks good. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a little bit more powder. So now I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush and I'm gonna pick up the powder on my brush. I'm going to apply this around my hairline and along the perimeter of my face, at the same time sweeping this over the areas that I have already gone over. And if you notice how pale my face is, that's just because the foundation was a bit too pale for me, and also this brightening powder is in fact brightening. I do like this product quite a bit, just not underneath the eyes. If I'm dealing with a lot of redness or pigmentation, this is definitely a really great powder to use. However, it's not going to replace my Holy Grail powder, which is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake powder in Pound Cake. Okay, so I have powdered my base, and I'm not a huge fan of the bronzer or the blush that I used. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly fix that off camera, and then I'll be right back to show you the next product that I have. Okay, so I just fixed up my complexion just a little bit by adding my Holy Grail products. So I've used the same single blusher in Cloudy Brown. And I've also used, oh my gosh, this is so dirty. I've also used the Dayzique V-Cut blending shading as my contour. And I've also done my brows off camera. If you want to know my Holy Grail products from start to finish of a full face of makeup, I'll put the link down below so that you can go ahead and check it out. The next product that we have is the Milani Baked Blush in Pink Panna Cotta. Now, I had picked this up as a cooler sister version of Luminoso. So I have their Baked Blush in Luminoso in the old packaging. And I have used this a few times, but it just looks orangey on my fair olive skin. So as you can see, Luminoso is quite peachy, quite orangey, whereas Pink Panna Cotta is more on the baby pink side. And I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but Pink Panna Cotta also has a bit of a golden sheen to it. So it's not just a straight cool baby pink. There is a bit of warmth in there. I thought that the Pink Panna Cotta would be a perfect alternative to Luminoso for anyone who is a fair olive or who wants a cooler toned version of Luminoso. I have used this a couple of times as a blush topper, but this will be my first time using it as a standalone blush. So I have my blush brush here. I'm just dipping it into the powder, and I'm gonna add this blush right here on the high point and closer to the center of my face. All right, so there is Pink Panna Cotta. And the golden sheen does emphasize texture because the sheen is quite strong. I feel like I can build it up just a little bit more. So when you are building up this product with a second layer, you are going to be adding more of that golden gleam onto your cheek as well. And I'm gonna put this on the center of my nose just so that I have that flushed look. All right, so that's what it looks like. I do like this product quite a bit. I would prefer to use this as a blush topper because I do want to control the amount of gold shine that it adds to my cheeks. So if you're a fair olive and you're looking for a luminoso alternative, pink Panna Cotta might be your answer. Okay, so now it's time to move on to eyes. And before I put anything on my eyes, I do want to add a base color. So I'm just gonna go into my Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette in neutral, and I'm just going to add a transition shade because the two products that I have are interesting eye products. So if you're wondering what color I'm using this color right here. It's kind of like a pinky nudie color. And I've applied that all over my lid, but I'm also going to apply this on the bottom of my lashes as well, just to balance out and contour the eye. So now that my eyes are prepped with a transition shade, the first product that I'm gonna go into is the Rimmel London Wonderlast Shadow Stick in the shade Galactic Green. Now, this is such an interesting shade because it is a iridescent green shade. So as you can see, the base of the eyeshadow is a golden brown, like a golden toasty brown, and then the reflect is green. Like, look how cool that is. You don't see a lot of iridescent colors at the drugstore. I've seen a lot of iridescent colors at Sephora, but usually these colors never show up in drugstore products. So when I saw this, I was instantly intrigued. All right, so I'm just gonna apply this to my lid quickly here. And these do dry down pretty quickly. So I highly recommend that you work fast and just do one eye at a time. And once it dries down, it does not budge. Okay, so I have one eye done, and I don't know if the camera is picking up the green reflect, but it's just such a mesmerizing color, and it's also subtle, in my opinion. And this color is such a great color to venture out of the clean girl makeup look, but you don't want to go too bold. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the other eye quickly. I highly recommend this product. Again, I am surprised that the drugstore has something this unusual. If you can't see it on my eyelids, here is what the swatch looks like on the back of my hand. So before we add the second product, I am gonna add just a tiny bit more of this Galactic Green on the bottom of my eye. And I'm just applying this on the center of my lower lash line. Okay, so we're gonna move on to my last drugstore product to share with you. And this is the Wet n Wild Chameleon Chrome Highlighter in 2 Sirius. Just like the Rimmel Shadow Stick in Galactic Green, this was also very intriguing because it's a very unusual highlighter color. It's a green reflect, but it does have a little bit of blue as well. So I just added it right there. I'm not 100% sure if you can see it, but it has a clear base and the reflect is green shifting blue. I love pairing this with the Galactic Green Shadow Stick. So I still have that here. Let me just swatch the bottom portion of that shade. So I added that chrome green color to the bottom of the Rimmel Shadow Stick and it just amps it up to a different level. It almost gives like forest fairy nymph vibes. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I would not use this as a highlighter. The glitter particles are a little too chunky. So I actually like to use this as an eyeshadow topper, which is exactly what I will be doing. So I'm gonna take some on my finger here. And I'm gonna add this to the center of my lid. And it adds something so interesting and so special to the eye look. All right, so I have applied the Wet n Wild highlighter on this eye compared to this eye. So this eye just has the Galactic Green shadow stick from Rimmel, and this has both the Rimmel eyeshadow stick and the Wet n Wild highlighter. I'm just gonna quickly do the other eye. All right, so that is the chrome highlighter added to both eyes. And that is the last product of my drugstore, I guess you could say haul. So I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup off camera, and then we're gonna go through all of the products one last time. All right, so I'm back with a full face of makeup now. So I've added just a bit of dark brown eyeshadow to my eyes and some mascara and a little bit of inner corner highlight. And if you're wondering what I've used, I used the Rare Beauty Enlightened highlighter for the inner corners. And then I have also used my two Essence mascaras that I love, love, love. So I used the Lash Princess Slim Brush in Waterproof for my bottom lashes. And I used the Essence Lash Without Limits in Waterproof on my top lashes. Now let's go through each product that I've used, and I'll let you know if it's a hit or a miss. So the very first product that I applied was the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Glotion in Fair. This is definitely a hit. I would say that if you are a oily skin girly and you don't want anything too glowy compared to the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter, this is a much better option for you. Plus, it's a squeezy tube and not a doe foot, so I feel like this is a more hygienic option. The next product is the NYX Make 'em Wonder Soft Matte Buildable Foundation in 05 Fair Ivory. So this is also another hit. It's amazing. It's very lightweight and it also looks really smooth on the skin. I like how you can also build it up, and as a fair olive girly, I feel like 05 Fair Ivory, even though it's just a little bit too light, it's a decent shade match for me. So the next products that I have are the Essence Baby Got Bronze and Baby Got Blush. The watermelon scent is very, very strong. It feels like I'm applying lip balm to my cheeks, and that's just a bit of a weird sensation for me. As an oily skin girly, this formula is just a little bit too emollient, so this is a pass for me. So the next product that we have is the e.l.f. Set It Bright Correcting and Brightening Setting Powder in the shade Fair. This is a fantastic product, especially for oily skin girlies. It is a little bit more drying compared to the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder. It is not the same as the Givenchy Prism Libra powder in the old formula. This powder also has more of a pigment load compared to the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder. So if you are looking for something that is indeed correcting and brightening, this is definitely a good option for you. I also love the packaging for this. It's really convenient to either select one shade or you can use all 4 shades at the same time. But in any case, this is a hit product for me. I think this would be a great addition to any hot and humid makeup look where I want oil controlling properties. So this is fantastic. I highly recommend it. Plus, it also saves you buying like 4 different colors because you already have the 4 colors in here. So you really can't go wrong with this product. It is definitely a hit. Now we have the Milani Baked Blush in Pink Panna Cotta. This is a fantastic cool toned version of Luminoso. If you found that Luminoso was a bit too orange for you, Pink Panna Cotta is a great alternative. I would say that if you do have a little bit of texture on your cheeks, this will emphasize that just because it does have a very strong golden sheen. The baby pink cool tone shade is perfect for any fair olive. And I think if you were to use this as a blush topper, it is a fantastic addition to your collection. So this is a hit for me and I look forward to using it more in the summertime. Moving on to eye products, the Rimmel London Wonderlast Shadow Stick in Galactic Green. This is probably my most favorite find of the year at the drugstore. It is just such an unusual color that you don't often see at the drugstore. It dries down and it layers well. This is a great product for when you want to venture out of clean girl makeup, but you don't want anything too bold. So this is a great product to have if you want a little bit of an unusual look. And in addition to this, if you want a more vibrant, more punchier look, the Wet n Wild Chameleon Chrome Highlighter in 2 Sirius is a fantastic product to pair with that Rimmel London Shadow Stick. The green reflect in this is just so amazing. And green is such an unusual color to find at the drugstore, especially in an iridescent form. Combining this shadow stick with this highlighter for an interesting eye look is a great way to venture out of clean girl makeup. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I had a lot of fun going through all of these products with you, and I hope this was helpful. In the comments below, let me know which products you want to try out, or if you've already tried them out, let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks again for being here, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye!